Chapter 1. The Freedom Trap Most Entrepreneurs Fall Into. You started your business to escape the 9-to-5 grind, to control your time, to build something that serves you, not the other way around. But here you are, working 70-hour weeks, chained to every client email, terrified to take a vacation because the whole operation might collapse without you. You've traded one boss for 100 demanding customers. This isn't freedom. This is a self-imposed prison with better decor. The painful irony is that most entrepreneurs become their own worst employees. They work harder than anyone they'd ever hire. They skip meals, sacrifice sleep, and postpone life, all while telling themselves it's temporary. Just until the business takes off. Just until next quarter. Just until they hit that revenue milestone. But the goalposts keep moving and the exhaustion becomes permanent. Here's what nobody tells you when you start. Building a business and building a business that pays you forever are two completely different endeavors. One requires your constant presence. The other runs beautifully in your absence. One trades your time for money at a slightly better rate. The other generates wealth while you sleep, travel, or focus on what truly matters. The distinction comes down to systems versus hustle. Most entrepreneurs worship hustle. They wear exhaustion like a badge of honor. They believe that outworking everyone else is the secret. And sure, hustle gets you started. It gets those first customers through the door. But hustle alone will never set you free. Hustle scales linearly with your effort. You work twice as hard, you make twice as much, until you burn out completely and make nothing. Systems scale exponentially. A well-designed system works whether you're present or not. It generates results while you're focused elsewhere. It multiplies your impact beyond what your 2 hands and 24 hours could ever achieve alone. This is the fundamental shift that separates businesses that drain you from businesses that pay you forever. Think about the wealthiest business owners you know. Not the ones posting hustle porn on social media. The truly wealthy ones living life on their terms. They're not working around the clock. They've built machines that run without them. Their businesses are assets, not jobs. They've created value delivery systems that operate independently of their daily involvement. The psychology behind this trap is fascinating. When you start a business, you're naturally hands-on. You handle everything because you must. You're the salesperson, the service provider, the accountant, the marketing team. This creates a neurological pattern. Your brain associates business success with your direct involvement. Every win reinforces this connection. Every satisfied customer proves you're essential. Your identity becomes entangled with being needed. This is where the trap snaps shut. Your ego starts feeding on being indispensable. Clients praise your personal touch. You tell yourself nobody else can do it quite like you. And you're right, but you're also building a monument to your own limitations. Because the moment you become the irreplaceable linchpin, you've capped your business at the ceiling of your own capacity. Neuroscience reveals why this pattern is so hard to break. Your brain's reward system lights up when clients need you specifically. Dopamine floods in when you solve problems directly. This creates an addiction to being needed. Your nervous system gets trained to associate business success with personal involvement. Breaking this pattern requires conscious rewiring, not just strategy. It requires understanding that true wealth comes from becoming progressively less necessary to daily operations. Wealth flows to the prepared mind. And the prepared mind recognizes that the business serving you forever requires one critical shift. Building systems that capture your expertise and replicate it without requiring your presence. This doesn't mean you become lazy or disconnected. It means you evolve from operator to architect. From worker bee to queen bee. From technician to owner. Consider Sarah, a graphic designer who built a thriving agency. For 5 years, she personally handled every major project. Clients loved her style. Revenue grew. But Sarah was trapped. She couldn't take a week off without everything grinding to a halt. Her business had become a well-paying job with terrible work-life balance. Then she made the shift. She documented her design process, created quality standards, hired designers she trained in her methodology, and built review systems. Within 18 months, her business ran smoothly without her daily involvement. Her income actually increased while her work hours decreased by 60%. She transformed her hustle into a system. Her talent into a replicable process. her business into an asset. The entrepreneurs who build forever businesses understand three core truths. First, your time is your scarcest resource. Second, anything you do more than twice should become a system. Third, your goal isn't to work harder but to make yourself progressively unnecessary to daily operations. These truths sound simple, but they violate everything conventional business advice teaches. They require you to let go of control, trust others with your standards, and design for your absence rather than your presence. Starting today, every task you complete, ask yourself, how could this run without me? Every client interaction, how could this be systematized? Every decision, how could I create a framework that empowers others to decide correctly? This mindset shift is uncomfortable because it challenges your sense of importance. But discomfort is the price of evolution. And evolution is the price of freedom. Your business should be your greatest asset, not your most demanding obligation. It should provide for you in abundance while respecting your finite time and energy. This is possible, but only when you build with forever in mind from the start. Not as an afterthought when you're already burned out. Not someday when things slow down. Now, with every decision, every hire, every process you create, wealth flows to the prepared mind. Prepare your mind to build systems, not dependencies. Design for your absence, not your presence. Create value that multiplies beyond your personal capacity. This is how you build a business that pays you forever. This is how you finally claim the freedom you started this journey to achieve. Chapter 2: The 3 Revenue Models That Outlive Your Effort. You've probably heard the advice, diversify your income streams. It sounds smart. Spread risk across multiple sources. But here's what that advice misses. Not all revenue streams are created equal. Some require your constant feeding and attention. Others grow naturally once planted. The difference determines whether you're building wealth or just staying busy. Let me paint a picture. 2 entrepreneurs each make $200,000 annually. On paper, they're equally successful. But entrepreneur 1 trades hours for dollars through consulting. Every dollar requires their direct time. They stop working, revenue stops immediately. Entrepreneur 2 built a subscription software product. Customers pay monthly whether she works that day or not. Her revenue persists through her effort from months or years ago. Same income. Completely different lifestyle. Completely different level of freedom. This distinction exposes the critical flaw in how most people think about business revenue. They focus on the amount rather than the mechanism. They celebrate hitting income milestones without examining what those milestones cost in sustained effort. A 6-figure business that demands 80-hour weeks is a trap dressed up as success. A 6-figure business running on 10 hours weekly is genuine wealth creation. The psychology of revenue models shapes your entire reality as an entrepreneur. When your income depends on your direct involvement, your nervous system stays in constant vigilance mode. You can't fully relax. Every vacation carries guilt. Every sick day threatens your bottom line. Your brain never gets the signal that you're secure because your security depends on tomorrow's hustle as much as yesterday's. This creates chronic stress that no amount of revenue can offset. Contrast this with passive or leveraged revenue models. When income flows from systems rather than your labor, your nervous system receives completely different signals. You can rest knowing tomorrow's income doesn't require tomorrow's labor. This shift isn't just psychological comfort. It's neurobiological safety. Your body literally exits survival mode and enters thriving mode. This affects everything from your decision-making quality to your physical health to your relationship satisfaction. The 3 revenue models that outlive your effort are one-to-many products, recurring revenue systems, and asset appreciation businesses. Understanding each one gives you options beyond trading time for money. Most entrepreneurs remain stuck in direct service delivery because they never learned these alternatives existed or how to build them. One-to-many products mean you create value once and sell it repeatedly. Digital courses, software, books, templates, frameworks. Physical products manufactured at scale. The key characteristic is that your effort in creation is disconnected from the number of customers who benefit. Whether 1 person or 10,000 people buy your online course, your effort remains the same. This is leverage. You're multiplying your impact beyond your personal capacity. Marcus built a project management training program for construction companies. He spent 4 months creating the curriculum, recording videos, and designing workbooks. Intensive effort up front. Then he sold it for $2,000 per company. In year 1, 30 companies purchased it. $60,000 in revenue from 4 months of creation work. But here's where it gets interesting. Years 2 through 5, he sold it to another 220 companies with minimal additional effort. Just some marketing and occasional updates. That initial 4 months of work generated over $500,000 across 5 years. His effort stopped, but the revenue continued. This is the power of one-to-many models. The psychological shift required here challenges most entrepreneurs. We're conditioned to believe fair exchange means time for money. Creating something once but profiting repeatedly feels almost dishonest to some people. This limiting belief keeps countless talented people trapped in service delivery. They undervalue their expertise by insisting on charging per hour rather than per transformation delivered. But your knowledge, packaged correctly, can transform thousands of people whether you're in the room or not. Recurring revenue systems are the second model. Subscriptions, memberships, retainers, licensing fees. Any structure where customers pay you repeatedly over time rather than once. This model provides predictability, which is invaluable for business planning and personal peace of mind. More importantly, it creates compound value. Each new customer adds to your baseline revenue rather than replacing last month's customers. Jennifer ran a bookkeeping service charging per project. Some months were feast, others famine. Unpredictable income created constant stress. She restructured to monthly retainers. Same services, different payment structure. Within a year, she had 80 clients paying between $300 and $800 monthly. Suddenly, her baseline monthly revenue was $42,000 before she even looked for new clients. This predictability allowed her to hire systematically, invest in growth confidently, and sleep soundly. The work hadn't changed. The revenue model transformed everything. The beauty of recurring revenue is its compounding nature. In transactional models, you start every month at zero. Every dollar must be re-earned. In recurring models, you start each month with last month's baseline. New sales add to your foundation rather than rebuilding it. This compounds dramatically over time. Year 1, you might build to $10,000 monthly recurring. Year 2, you start at $10,000 and add to it. By year 5, you could have $200,000 in monthly recurring revenue, meaning your annual baseline is $2.4 million before acquiring a single new customer that year. Wealth flows to the prepared mind. And the prepared mind recognizes that recurring revenue isn't just about money. It's about architectural stability. It's about building on solid ground rather than sand. It's about creating a business that gets stronger with time rather than requiring constant restart energy. Asset appreciation businesses are the third model. Real estate. Businesses built to sell. Intellectual property. Equity investments. Brand value that grows over time. Here you're not just generating cash flow. You're building something that increases in value, eventually selling for a multiple of annual revenue or profits. This model requires the longest timeline but offers the biggest single payoff. You might work for 7 years building a software company, drawing modest salary, reinvesting profits into growth. Then you sell the company for $8 million. Your effective hourly rate across those 7 years suddenly looks very different than it did during the building phase. You weren't just earning salary. You were building equity. The challenge with asset appreciation is delayed gratification. Our brains struggle with this. We're wired for immediate rewards. Working today for a payoff 5 years from now requires overriding deep neurological programming. This is why most people never build appreciating assets. The psychological discomfort of delayed rewards outweighs their logical understanding of superior long-term outcomes. Combining these 3 models creates ultimate stability. One-to-many products generate upfront revenue and require minimal ongoing effort. Recurring revenue provides predictable baseline income that compounds monthly. Asset appreciation ensures your years of work result in a major liquidity event eventually. Different models serve different psychological and practical needs. Together, they create a business that pays you forever through multiple mechanisms. Your current business probably relies too heavily on one model, likely direct service delivery. This creates fragility disguised as productivity. You're busy, money comes in, but you're one health crisis or burnout away from zero income. Diversifying into these three models doesn't mean abandoning what works. It means gradually building parallel revenue streams that reduce your dependence on your direct labor. Start by identifying which of your expertise could become a one-to-many product. What do you teach clients repeatedly? What frameworks do you use consistently? Package that knowledge. Then examine what services could shift to recurring payment structures. Finally, consider what equity you're building beyond current cash flow. These three questions begin transforming your business from a job into an asset that pays forever. Chapter 3. Why your current business model is silently dying. The business model that made you successful last year is quietly becoming obsolete. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because market expectations evolve faster than most entrepreneurs adapt. What delighted customers 18 months ago now feels standard. What seemed cutting edge has become table stakes. And most dangerously, what worked reliably is losing effectiveness incrementally, so gradually you don't notice until it's crisis level. This is the silent killer of businesses. Not dramatic failures. Not obvious catastrophes. Just slow, steady irrelevance. Revenue plateaus, then dips slightly. Customer acquisition costs creep upward. Profit margins compress. You work harder for the same results, then harder still for declining results. You tell yourself it's temporary. A rough quarter. Market seasonality. But deep down you sense something fundamental has shifted. The psychology of this decline is insidious. Humans are pattern recognition machines. We identify what works, then repeat it compulsively. This served our ancestors well. If eating those berries didn't kill you yesterday, eating them today is probably safe. But in rapidly evolving markets, yesterday's successful pattern becomes today's limitation. What got you here won't get you there, yet we cling to familiar methods because they feel safe, proven, comfortable. Neuroscience explains this as the brain's efficiency drive. Your brain loves automaticity. Established patterns require minimal cognitive energy. New approaches demand intense focus and carry risk of failure. So your brain naturally resists change, even when logic suggests change is necessary. This creates a dangerous lag between market evolution and business adaptation. By the time declining results force change, you're already behind competitors who adapted earlier. Consider the photography industry. 15 years ago, professional photographers thrived by offering prints and albums. Customers paid premium prices for tangible products. Then smartphones democratized high-quality photos. Cloud storage made physical prints feel obsolete. The business model that sustained thousands of photographers evaporated within 5 years. The photographers who survived weren't necessarily more talented. They were more adaptable. They shifted to offering experiences, teaching, digital products, and commercial work before their traditional model collapsed completely. This pattern repeats across industries. Bookstores that couldn't compete with Amazon. Travel agents displaced by online booking. Taxi services disrupted by rideshare apps. The businesses that died weren't run by stupid people. They were run by people too committed to models that once worked brilliantly. They fell victim to the sunk cost fallacy. They'd invested so much building their current model that abandoning it felt like wasting years of effort. So they optimized a dying approach rather than pioneering a new one. Your current business model likely contains similar vulnerabilities. Maybe you rely on a platform you don't control. Maybe your service could be automated by software. Maybe younger competitors offer similar value at lower prices because they have different cost structures. Maybe customer preferences are shifting in ways that make your offering less relevant. These vulnerabilities compound silently until they reach critical mass. The warning signs are subtle. Customer objections you're hearing more frequently. Longer sales cycles. More price resistance. Increased customer churn. More competitive losses. Declining referral rates. Individually, each seems explainable. Collectively, they signal your model is losing market fit. But because the decline is gradual, our brains rationalize each data point rather than recognizing the pattern. Wealth flows to the prepared mind. And the prepared mind doesn't wait for crisis to force evolution. It systematically questions what's working today and asks, will this work tomorrow? It builds next-generation models while current models still generate revenue. It innovates from strength rather than desperation. Trevor ran a successful marketing agency serving real estate agents. For 6 years, his team managed Facebook ads, delivering consistent client ROI. Revenue grew annually. Then gradually ad costs increased. Algorithm changes reduced effectiveness. More agencies entered the space. His profit margins compressed from 40% to 18% over 2 years. He worked harder running the same playbook for diminishing returns. The model was dying, but slowly enough that he didn't recognize the terminal diagnosis. Then Trevor made a crucial decision. Instead of optimizing his dying model, he studied where his market was heading. He noticed agents were struggling with video content and personal branding. He pivoted his agency to offer comprehensive personal brand development, including video coaching, content strategy, and multi-platform presence management. Different model. Different value proposition. Different positioning. Within 18 months, his profit margins returned to 35%, his customer retention doubled, and his revenue increased 40%. He didn't work harder. He worked differently. He let a dying model die and birthed a new one aligned with emerging market needs. This requires psychological flexibility most entrepreneurs lack. We become emotionally attached to our business models. They represent our identity, our past success, our comfort zone. Abandoning them feels like admitting we were wrong, like starting over, like wasting our accumulated expertise. But clinging to obsolete models because they once worked is like refusing to learn to swim because walking on land has served you well. Different environments require different capabilities. The most dangerous phrase in business is, "We've always done it this way." It signals a mind closed to evolution. It announces your vulnerability to disruption. It marks you as someone optimizing the past rather than creating the future. Every time you hear yourself think this phrase, alarm bells should trigger. Because markets don't care about your attachment to your methods. They care about value delivery. And if someone else delivers equivalent value more efficiently through a different model, your historical approach becomes irrelevant regardless of how well it used to work. Here's the difficult truth. Your business model should evolve every 18 to 36 months. Not completely transform necessarily, but meaningfully adapt. You should regularly question core assumptions. Challenge sacred cows. Experiment with new approaches. Test different value delivery mechanisms. This doesn't mean chasing every shiny trend. It means maintaining flexibility and market awareness so you adapt before crisis forces it. Start by honestly assessing your current model's sustainability. Is your customer acquisition cost rising? Are profit margins compressing? Is competition intensifying? Are customers requesting things your model can't easily deliver? Are you working significantly harder for similar results? These questions reveal whether you're optimizing a dying model or riding a sustainable one. Then look forward. Where is your market heading? What will customers want in 3 years that they don't yet know they want? What technologies or social shifts might disrupt your current approach? What would a competitor starting today do differently? These questions help you see around corners before you crash into walls. The businesses that pay forever aren't built on single brilliant models. They're built on systematic evolution. They're built by entrepreneurs who hold their methods loosely while holding their mission tightly. They're built through constant questioning, testing, and adapting. They're built by people who recognize that in rapidly changing markets, the greatest risk isn't change itself. The greatest risk is refusing to change until you have no choice. Build the discipline to evolve your model before the market forces you to. That's how you create a business that adapts, survives, and pays you forever through multiple market cycles. Chapter 4. The myth of passive income nobody mentions. Passive income. The promised land of entrepreneurship. Money flowing in while you lounge on beaches, sip cocktails, and live the laptop lifestyle. It's the dream sold in 1,000 courses and Instagram posts. And it's largely a dangerous fantasy that destroys more businesses than it creates. Not because passive income doesn't exist, but because the way it's marketed fundamentally misrepresents how it actually works. Here's what the gurus don't tell you: there's no such thing as passive income. There's only leveraged income. And there's a massive difference. Passive suggests you do nothing and money appears. Leveraged means you front-load enormous effort building systems that then generate returns disproportionate to ongoing effort. The income isn't passive. The work was just done yesterday, not today. This distinction isn't semantic. It's psychological and practical. When you believe in passive income, you search for shortcuts, magic systems, automated wealth generators. You become susceptible to every get-rich-quick scheme promising effortless returns. You feel frustrated when your passive income stream demands ongoing attention. You quit prematurely because reality doesn't match the fantasy you were sold. But when you understand leveraged income, your entire approach changes. You accept that significant upfront effort is required. You commit to building substantial value before expecting returns. You recognize that passive income streams need occasional maintenance and optimization. You develop realistic expectations that prevent premature quitting. This mindset shift determines whether you actually build income that outlasts your daily effort or just waste time chasing mirages. The psychology behind the passive income fantasy is powerful. We're exhausted. We're overworked. We desperately want relief from the grind. So when someone promises money without effort, our tired brains grab that hope. We suspend critical thinking. We ignore obvious logical flaws. We believe because we want to believe. This makes us vulnerable to predatory marketing and our own wishful thinking. Neuroscience reveals that our brains are terrible at evaluating future effort. We systematically underestimate how much work something will require and overestimate how quickly we'll see returns. This optimism bias helped our ancestors take necessary risks. But in business, it leads us to start passive income projects with unrealistic timelines and inadequate commitment. We expect results in weeks when the actual timeline is years. We quit during the difficult building phase, convinced the opportunity was a scam, when actually we simply underestimated what success required. Consider Rachel's story. She attended a webinar promising passive income through print-on-demand t-shirt businesses. The pitch was seductive. Design shirts using simple tools. Upload to automated platforms. The platform handles production and shipping. You collect profits while you sleep. True passive income. Rachel invested $3,000 in the premium course. She spent 2 weeks creating 30 designs. She uploaded them, then waited for money to roll in. Weeks passed. She made $11. One sale. After another month and 20 more designs, she'd made $63 total. Frustrated and feeling scammed, she quit. The opportunity was a failure. Or was it? The truth is that successful print-on-demand businesses exist. But they require 18 to 36 months of consistent effort building an audience, testing designs, mastering platform algorithms, developing marketing skills, and iterating based on data. The successful sellers Rachel competed against had hundreds or thousands of designs, deep understanding of their niche audiences, and years of accumulated platform credibility. Rachel expected passive income. The reality required significant leveraged effort. Her expectations, not the opportunity, were the problem. This pattern repeats constantly. Someone starts an online course business expecting passive income. They spend a month creating content, then wonder why they're not generating 5 figures monthly. Someone builds an app expecting downloads to happen automatically. Someone writes a book expecting passive royalties without marketing effort. Someone creates a YouTube channel expecting monetization without understanding that most successful channels required 2 to 3 years of consistent content creation before meaningful revenue occurred. Wealth flows to the prepared mind. And the prepared mind understands that leveraged income requires 3 phases. First, intensive creation, where you build substantial value with zero return. Second, transition phase, where initial returns begin but remain disproportionate to effort required. Third, leverage phase, where returns meaningfully exceed ongoing effort. Most people quit during phases 1 or 2, never reaching the leverage they sought. They mistake the necessary building phase for failure. The businesses that actually generate leveraged income share common characteristics. They required 18 to 48 months of consistent effort before meaningful returns. They demanded mastery of specific skills through iteration and failure. They involved creating substantial value, not minimal viable products. They succeeded through systematic optimization, not overnight breakthroughs. They rewarded persistence through difficulty, not dabbling when convenient. Understanding this transforms how you pursue leveraged income. You stop seeking shortcuts and commit to legitimate building processes. You develop realistic timelines measured in years, not weeks. You focus on creating exceptional value rather than automating mediocrity. You persist through the long valley where effort exceeds returns because you understand that valley is the price of reaching the other side. But here's the critical caveat. Not all income streams eventually become leveraged. Some business models never escape the effort-income correlation. Direct service delivery rarely becomes leveraged. The more customized your offering, the less leverage you can achieve. The more your value depends on personal involvement, the less passive income becomes possible. This isn't a flaw. These models provide excellent income, but they won't pay you while you sleep. Recognizing which models can become leveraged and which cannot prevents wasting effort trying to pacify the unpacifiable. Digital products offer leverage potential. Information products, software, templates, tools. Anything replicable without proportional effort increase. Investing in cash-flowing assets offers leverage. Real estate, dividend stocks, businesses you own but don't operate. These generate returns disconnected from your labor. Content businesses offer leverage at scale. YouTube channels, podcasts, blogs that eventually generate ad revenue or sponsorship deals from catalog content, not just new content. But even these models require enormous front-loading. A successful course creator probably spent 2 years building an audience before that audience would buy courses. A cash-flowing real estate portfolio required capital accumulation, market education, and years of acquisition. A monetized YouTube channel involved creating hundreds of videos before achieving partnership requirements. The leverage wasn't passive. It was earned through front-loaded effort. Starting today, replace passive income with leveraged income in your vocabulary and thinking. This single shift recalibrates expectations and behaviors. Ask yourself, am I willing to invest 12 to 36 months of consistent effort for the possibility of eventual leverage? Can I sustain focus through the valley where I'm creating value without proportional returns? Do I have the skills this income stream requires, or am I willing to develop them through iteration? These questions reveal whether you're genuinely committed or just fantasizing. Then design your leveraged income strategy with brutal honesty. Acknowledge the real timeline. Commit to skill development. Create value substantially better than what currently exists. Build consistently regardless of initial returns. Optimize based on data, not assumptions. This approach won't generate overnight results, but it will generate eventual leverage that actually works. And that leveraged income, once achieved, truly does pay you long after the building effort stops. It just requires being honest about what building actually demands. The businesses that pay forever aren't built on passive income fantasies. They're built on leveraged income realities. Embrace the reality and you'll eventually enjoy the leverage. Chase the fantasy and you'll waste years accomplishing nothing. Chapter 5. How to engineer customers who never leave. Customer retention is the most undervalued metric in business. Most entrepreneurs obsess over acquisition while ignoring the leaking bucket beneath them. They celebrate closing 10 new customers while barely noticing 8 existing customers left. This creates an exhausting treadmill. You're perpetually hunting new business to replace what's constantly leaving. You never build momentum because you never compound your customer base. The math is brutal. Acquiring new customers costs 5 to 25 times more than retaining existing ones. Existing customers spend 67% more than new ones. A 5% increase in retention can increase profits by 25 to 95%. Yet most businesses invest 90% of resources on acquisition and 10% on retention. This is backwards. It's financial and psychological self-sabotage. Here's why this matters for building a business that pays forever. Acquired customers who leave quickly represent wasted investment. You spend money and energy bringing them in, then they vanish before providing meaningful lifetime value. But customers who stay for years or decades become increasingly profitable. Their lifetime value grows exponentially. They require minimal ongoing acquisition cost. They often generate referrals. They provide predictable revenue. They compound your business growth rather than forcing you to constantly restart. The psychology of customer retention reveals fascinating insights. People don't leave businesses primarily because of price or better alternatives. They leave because they feel forgotten. They leave because the relationship became transactional. They leave because nobody made them feel valued beyond the initial sale. This is entirely preventable, yet most businesses create retention problems through systematic neglect. Think about your own experiences as a customer. Which businesses do you remain loyal to for years? Probably not the ones with the cheapest prices. Probably the ones where you feel known, appreciated, and served beyond the basic transaction. The coffee shop where baristas remember your order. The software company whose support team treats you like a human. The consultant who checks in quarterly even when you're not actively paying them. These businesses engineered loyalty through systematic attention, not accidental chemistry. Engineering customers who never leave requires understanding what creates psychological loyalty. It's not satisfaction. Research shows satisfied customers still leave. Satisfaction is a threshold, not a differentiator. Everyone expects satisfaction. Achieving it merely prevents immediate defection. It doesn't create loyalty. Loyalty requires emotional connection, consistent value delivery, and strategic friction that makes leaving inconvenient. Let's deconstruct each element. Emotional connection means customers feel genuinely cared about, not just serviced. This happens through personalization, authentic communication, and demonstrating knowledge of their specific situations. When customers believe you understand their unique challenges and genuinely want their success, loyalty emerges naturally. This isn't manipulation. It's building real relationships at scale through systematic practices. Jennifer runs a bookkeeping firm serving small businesses. Early on, she provided excellent technical service. Her reports were accurate and timely. Yet customers still left frequently, usually for slightly cheaper alternatives. She was delivering satisfaction but not loyalty. Then Jennifer implemented systematic personal touches. Monthly check-in calls discussing financial health, not just reporting numbers. Birthday cards and congratulations on business milestones. Quarterly business planning sessions at no extra charge. Referrals to other service providers when clients needed help she couldn't provide. Suddenly, customer retention jumped from 62% to 91% annually. Same technical service. Different emotional connection. Customers now viewed her as a partner invested in their success, not just a vendor selling hours. Consistent value delivery means exceeding expectations regularly, not just initially. Many businesses front-load value during the honeymoon period, then coast into mediocrity. This creates disappointment. Customers remember how great you were, making current adequacy feel like decline. Instead, maintain or increase value delivery as the relationship matures. Find ways to surprise with bonuses, upgrades, or unexpected problem solving. This sustains the positive emotional momentum that breeds loyalty. Strategic friction involves making it genuinely inconvenient for customers to leave. Not through contracts or penalties. Through integration and value accumulation. When your service becomes woven into their operations, leaving requires painful disruption. When they've accumulated valuable history or data in your system, migrating becomes costly. When they've built relationships with your team, replacing you means starting over socially. This friction isn't manipulative if you're also delivering exceptional value. It's simply making the rational choice and the emotional preference align toward staying. Software companies understand this intuitively. Platforms like Salesforce or Slack become deeply integrated into company workflows. Leaving requires retraining entire teams and migrating vast amounts of data. This friction creates massive retention even when competitors offer better features or pricing. The switching cost exceeds the benefit. Smart service businesses can engineer similar friction through integration, exclusive benefits that accumulate over time, and deep knowledge of customer situations that would require re-education with a new provider. Wealth flows to the prepared mind. And the prepared mind recognizes that retention isn't about preventing all customer loss. Some churn is inevitable and even healthy. Customers outgrow your services or shift directions. The goal is engineering loyalty among your ideal customers so that preventable churn drops dramatically. This transforms business economics entirely. Consider the lifetime value transformation. If average customers stay 12 months and spend $1,000 monthly, their lifetime value is $12,000. But if you engineer retention so average customers stay 72 months, lifetime value jumps to $72,000 per customer. Same acquisition cost. 6 times the value. This allows you to invest more in customer acquisition, outspend competitors, and dominate your market. Or simply acquire fewer customers while growing revenue through expanding lifetime values. The compound effects are even more dramatic. In year 1 with poor retention you might serve 100 customers. Year 2 you replace 80 who left and add 40 new ones, serving 60 total. You're on a treadmill. But with engineered retention, year 1's 100 customers stay. Year 2, you keep 95 and add 40 new ones, serving 135. Year 3, 165. The base compounds annually because you're not constantly replacing losses. This creates exponential growth from linear acquisition efforts. Engineering retention requires systematic practices, not hoping customers stay. First, onboarding intensity. The first 90 days determine retention more than any other period. Customers who achieve early wins stay. Those who struggle leave. So front-load support and value during onboarding. Ensure early success. This investment pays dividends across the entire relationship. Second, proactive communication. Don't wait for customers to need you. Reach out regularly with valuable insights, check-ins, and resources. This maintains relationship warmth and catches small issues before they become cancellation reasons. Most businesses only contact customers when seeking payment or responding to complaints. This trains customers to associate you with bills and problems. Instead, create positive touchpoints that remind them why they chose you. Third, milestone recognition. Celebrate customer successes and anniversaries. Acknowledge progress. This creates positive emotional events that strengthen bonds. When customers hit 1 year with you, recognize it. When they achieve goals with your help, celebrate it. These moments become memory anchors that increase psychological investment in the relationship. Fourth, exclusive benefits for loyalty. Reward tenure with increasing perks. Long-term customers should receive advantages newer customers don't. Priority support. Special pricing. Early access to new features. Recognition in your community. This creates a ladder where staying provides compounding benefits. Leaving means sacrificing accumulated advantage. It also signals that you value loyalty, encouraging customers to envision long-term relationships. Fifth, feedback loops. Regularly survey customers about satisfaction and needs. More importantly, demonstrate you're acting on feedback. Customers who see their input create real changes feel invested in your business's evolution. They become partners in improvement rather than passive consumers. This psychological ownership creates fierce loyalty. They're not just customers. They're contributors to something they're helping build. Starting today, calculate your current retention rate honestly. How many customers who start with you are still with you 12 months later? 24 months later? This reveals your retention reality. Then identify your biggest retention gaps. Where do customers leave most? What reasons do they give? What patterns exist? These gaps reveal your engineering opportunities. Finally, design and implement one systematic retention practice monthly. Month 1, improve onboarding. Month 2, launch proactive check-ins. Month 3, create milestone recognition. Month 4, add loyalty benefits. Month 5, start feedback loops. 12 months later, you'll have transformed your retention infrastructure. And retention improvements compound indefinitely, creating businesses that grow through loyalty, not just acquisition. This is how you build a customer base that pays you forever. Chapter 6. The scalability test. Your business is probably failing. You want your business to grow. More customers, more revenue, more impact. But wanting growth and being built for growth are completely different things. Most businesses hit a ceiling disguised as a plateau. Revenue stops increasing. Or worse, revenue grows but profits shrink because operational complexity grows faster than income. You're working harder, serving more customers. Continue. 3:25 p.m. Yet somehow making less. This is the scalability trap. Scalability means your business can increase output significantly without proportional increases in costs or effort. A scalable business adds customers at decreasing marginal cost. An unscalable business sees costs rise linearly or even exponentially with customer volume. The difference determines whether growth creates wealth or chaos. Here's the brutal truth most entrepreneurs discover too late. Their business model is fundamentally unscalable. It's designed for small volume. It requires personal involvement in delivery. It has bottlenecks that cap output regardless of demand. These design flaws aren't obvious at 10 customers. They become catastrophic at 100 customers. You built a business that works small but breaks big. The psychology of scalability failures is predictable. In the early stages, you handle everything personally. This works. Customers are happy. You're profitable. Your brain interprets this success as validation of your approach. So you keep doing exactly what works. More of the same. But what works at small scale often prevents large scale. The personal touch that delighted your first 10 customers becomes impossible at 50 customers. The custom solutions that solve problems beautifully become unsustainable at volume. You're accidentally building your own ceiling. Neuroscience explains this as confirmation bias. We see evidence supporting our existing beliefs and ignore contradicting evidence. Early success confirms that our hands-on approach works. We miss signals that this approach won't scale. By the time the problems become undeniable, we've built deep operational patterns that are painful to change. We're flying a plane while trying to redesign its wings. Michael built a successful web design agency. He personally led every client project. His design aesthetic and client relationships drove growth. Within 3 years, he had 20 ongoing clients and a team of 5 designers. Revenue hit $750,000 annually. But Michael was drowning. He worked 70-hour weeks bouncing between projects. His team constantly needed direction. Clients expected his personal involvement. He couldn't take vacation without projects stalling. Growth had created a prison. And scaling further seemed impossible because everything depended on him. He built an unscalable business model. The scalability test reveals whether your business can grow without hitting ceilings. Ask these diagnostic questions. First, if demand doubled tomorrow, could you fulfill it without working significantly more hours? If no, you're unscalable. Second, do your profit margins increase, stay flat, or decrease as you serve more customers? If they decrease, you're dangerously unscalable. Third, what's the limiting factor in serving more customers? If the answer involves your personal time or unique skills, you're unscalable. Fourth, could your business run successfully for a month without your daily involvement? If no, you're extremely unscalable. Most businesses fail multiple parts of this test. They're built around founder involvement. They have operational bottlenecks. They lack systematization. They struggle with quality control at volume. These aren't personality flaws. They're architectural flaws. And architectural flaws require architectural solutions, not harder work. Wealth flows to the prepared mind. And the prepared mind recognizes that scalability is designed, not discovered. It requires deliberate choices about business model, systems, and structure. It requires resisting the temptation to customize everything for everyone. It requires building replicable processes rather than unique artisanal solutions. It requires evolving from craftsman to architect. Scalable businesses share key characteristics. They standardize their core offerings. They systematize delivery processes. They leverage technology for repetitive tasks. They hire for roles rather than just tasks. They document everything. They build quality control into systems rather than relying on individual brilliance. They create training programs that replicate expertise. They measure everything and optimize based on data. They embrace good enough rather than perfect when perfect prevents scaling. Let's examine each element practically. Standardization means offering defined packages rather than fully custom solutions. Yes, customization commands premium pricing. But customization kills scalability. Each custom solution requires unique effort. You can't systematize the unique. You can't train others to replicate the unreplicable. The businesses that scale successfully offer 80 to 90% standardized solutions with 10 to 20% customization. This balances personalization with replicability. Systematization means documenting exactly how work gets done, creating checklists, templates, and procedures for everything. Most entrepreneurs keep processes in their heads. This makes them indispensable. But indispensability is the enemy of scalability. Your goal should be making yourself unnecessary for daily operations. This happens through externalizing knowledge from your brain into systems anyone can follow. Technology leverage means automating everything automatable. Customer onboarding, payment processing, appointment scheduling, email sequences, data entry, reporting. Every hour spent on automatable tasks is an hour wasted. Technology has upfront costs but scales infinitely. The same automated system serves 10 customers or 10,000. Your labor doesn't. Investing in automation early, even when you're small, builds scalability into your foundation. Role-based hiring means filling organizational needs, not just handling overflow. Many entrepreneurs hire helpers to reduce their workload. But helpers perpetuate founder dependence. They handle tasks but don't own outcomes. Role-based hiring means creating positions with clear responsibilities and authority. These people own functions, not just tasks. They make decisions. They solve problems. They free you from involvement. This type of hiring enables scaling because people drive systems rather than you driving people. Documentation seems tedious but proves essential. Every process should have written instructions someone unfamiliar could follow successfully. Every client interaction should have templates. Every decision should have decision frameworks. This removes guesswork and dependency on specific people. Anyone following the documentation achieves consistent results. This is how franchises scale successfully. They document everything exhaustively, removing variance and enabling rapid replication. Quality control systems prevent the common scaling failure where growth degrades quality. Many businesses grow successfully then collapse when quality suffers and customers leave. This happens when quality depends on individual talent rather than systems. Instead, build quality checkpoints into processes. Create objective quality standards. Implement review mechanisms. Measure customer satisfaction systematically. Address quality issues before they become patterns. This maintains excellence while scaling, which is the only sustainable path. Training programs replicate your expertise. You can't personally train every future employee, but you can create training systems that systematically transfer knowledge. Video tutorials, shadowing programs, mentorship structures, certification processes. These scale your knowledge beyond your personal capacity to teach. The businesses that truly scale have world-class training systems that rapidly bring new people to competency. Data-driven optimization means measuring key metrics and improving systematically. What gets measured gets managed. Scalable businesses track conversion rates, customer satisfaction, delivery times, error rates, and dozens of other metrics. They identify bottlenecks through data. They test improvements methodically. They scale what works and eliminate what doesn't. This prevents the common pattern of scaling problems along with revenue. The mindset shift from perfection to excellent standardization challenges many entrepreneurs. We're often perfectionists. We take pride in bespoke quality. But perfect customization caps you at 30 clients. Excellent standardization serves 30,000. You must choose between being a boutique craftsman or building an empire. Both are valid. But pretending you can scale the boutique approach wastes years and frustration. Start by honestly assessing your current scalability. Use the diagnostic questions. Identify your biggest bottlenecks. Then systematically address one constraint quarterly. Quarter 1, standardize your core offering. Quarter 2, document your 3 most important processes. Quarter 3, implement 1 significant automation. Quarter 4, hire for a key role rather than just adding help. Repeat this cycle, addressing the next biggest constraint each time. Within 2 years, you'll have transformed your business's scalability fundamentally. You'll have built a business that can grow without breaking, that can add customers without adding equal stress, that can pay you forever because it's not capped by your personal limitations. This is how you engineer growth that creates wealth rather than just chaos. Chapter 7, Financial Architecture that Compounds Your Freedom. Most entrepreneurs approach business finances reactively. Money comes in, money goes out, and they hope more comes in than goes out. They celebrate big revenue months without examining whether those revenues translate to wealth. They confuse cash flow with profit. They neglect the financial architecture that determines whether their business becomes an asset or just a complicated job. This financial illiteracy, even among otherwise intelligent people, explains why high-revenue businesses often fail or barely survive. Financial architecture means designing how money flows through your business strategically. It determines what you keep versus what disappears. It separates businesses that create wealth from businesses that just recirculate cash. It's the difference between revenue theater and genuine financial health. And most entrepreneurs get it completely wrong because nobody teaches this stuff in practical terms. Here's the foundational concept that changes everything. Profit is not what's left over. Profit is a design requirement. You design profitability into your business intentionally, not hope for it accidentally. This requires structuring expenses, pricing, and money management with mathematical precision. It requires understanding margin requirements, capital allocation, and the time value of money. It requires treating your business finances like an engineer rather than an artist. The psychology of money in business is fascinating and destructive. We tend to spend what's available. When the bank account is full, we upgrade tools, hire hastily, and loosen spending discipline. When it's empty, we panic and cut frantically. This emotional financial management creates feast-famine cycles that prevent wealth accumulation. Your business might generate $2 million over 5 years but leave you with nothing because you spent every dollar as it arrived. Revenue without retention is just exhausting. Neuroscience reveals that immediate rewards activate our pleasure centers more intensely than delayed rewards. Spending money now feels better than saving it for later. This brain wiring explains why people and businesses struggle with financial discipline despite knowing saving is rational. We're fighting biological programming that prioritizes immediate consumption. Overcoming this requires systems that automate good behavior before our impulsive brains can sabotage ourselves. Consider the profit-first methodology. Instead of traditional accounting where profit is revenue minus expenses, profit first reverses it. You allocate profit first, then operate on what remains. This sounds subtle but creates radical results. Every dollar that enters your business immediately splits into predetermined percentages. 50% to operating expenses, 15% to profit, 10% to taxes, 20% to owner pay, 5% to growth investments. These allocations happen automatically before you can spend impulsively. The constrained operating budget forces efficiency. The automated profit allocation ensures you're building wealth, not just recycling cash. Maria implemented this in her consulting business. Previously, she made $400,000 in revenue annually but somehow ended years with minimal savings. She spent what came in, upgraded her office, hired quickly when busy, bought expensive software, traveled business class. The money vaporized despite good income. Then she implemented profit first. The constrained operating budget forced her to question every expense. Did she really need that premium software or would the basic version suffice? Could she hire contractors rather than full employees? Did she need the fancy office or could she work remotely? Within 1 year, she'd saved $60,000 in profit despite similar revenue. The architectural change, not income increase, created wealth. This principle applies beyond profit first specifically. The core insight is designing financial discipline into your business structure rather than relying on willpower. Willpower fails. Systems persist. Automated allocation to separate bank accounts for different purposes prevents commingling and impulsive spending. When your operating account has 5,000 and your profit account has 30,000, you can't impulsively spend that 30,000 on a new hire because it's architecturally segregated. Wealth flows to the prepared mind. And the prepared mind understands that your business should fund 4 distinct financial goals simultaneously. Operating expenses to run the business. Owner compensation for your personal income. Profit reserves that become investable wealth. Growth capital for strategic expansion. Most entrepreneurs confuse these categories. They pay themselves sporadically from whatever's left. They have no real profit because everything gets reinvested or spent. They grow impulsively when cash allows rather than strategically when opportunities warrant. This creates chaos disguised as entrepreneurship. Proper financial architecture separates these streams clearly. Operating expenses should be predictable and lean. As you grow, operating efficiency should improve, with operating expenses as a percentage of revenue declining over time. If your operating expenses grow proportionally with revenue, you're not scaling profitably. You're just getting bigger without getting better. Owner compensation should be regular and adequate. You shouldn't starve WHI. Building your business. Neither should you overpay yourself to where the business struggles. The right owner compensation reflects fair market value for your role, not whatever's available this month. This creates financial stability for you personally while ensuring the business retains adequate capital to function and grow. Profit reserves are non-negotiable. This is how your business becomes wealth, not just income. These reserves get invested in appreciating assets. They fund eventual business sale or succession. They provide security cushions for market downturns. They represent actual wealth creation. Businesses that never generate profit reserves might provide good income but never create wealth. The owner is one disruption away from zero. Profit reserves transform your business from income source to wealth asset. Growth capital should be strategic, not reactive. Many entrepreneurs reinvest every available dollar into growth, hoping growth solves all problems. But poorly funded growth often accelerates failure. You hire before revenue justifies it. You expand into new markets without adequate resources. You launch products before perfecting core offerings. This growth consumes capital and attention without generating returns. Strategic growth capital means funding expansion when opportunity, resources, and timing align, not whenever you feel impatient. The architectural design of accounts and allocation percentages depends on your business model, maturity, and goals. Service businesses might allocate differently than product businesses. Mature businesses differently than startups. But the principle remains: design your financial structure intentionally, automate allocation, and maintain discipline through systems rather than willpower. Beyond allocation, financial architecture includes pricing strategy, margin requirements, and capital efficiency. Your pricing determines whether profit is possible. Many entrepreneurs underprice catastrophically. They fear losing customers to cheaper competitors. They undervalue their expertise. They prioritize volume over margin. But winning through lowest price is a race to poverty. You compete against your cost structure. Someone will always go cheaper. Building sustainable businesses requires adequate margins to fund all 4 financial streams discussed earlier. Calculate your margin requirements mathematically. What gross margin do you need to cover operating expenses, owner compensation, profit allocation, tax obligations, and growth capital? Then price to achieve that margin. If the market won't pay your required price, you have a business model problem, not a pricing problem. Fix the model or find a different market. Don't solve it by working harder for inadequate margins. That's volunteering for exhaustion and eventual failure. Capital efficiency measures how much revenue you generate per dollar invested. Efficient businesses require minimal capital to produce returns. Inefficient businesses consume massive capital for modest returns. This efficiency determines how quickly you can grow and how much external funding you need. Bootstrap-friendly businesses have high capital efficiency. You can fund growth from retained profits. Capital-intensive businesses require investors or debt, which dilutes your ownership or creates repayment obligations. Design for capital efficiency when possible by choosing business models with low upfront investment and fast payback periods. Starting today, audit your financial architecture honestly. Do you have separate accounts for different purposes? Do you allocate money systematically or spend reactively? Do you generate actual profit reserves or just cycle cash? Are your margins adequate for sustainability? Have you designed your finances for wealth creation or just survival? These questions reveal your current financial maturity. Then implement one architectural improvement monthly. Month 1, open separate accounts. Month 2, establish allocation percentages. Month 3, automate the allocations. Month 4, review and right-size pricing. 12 months of systematic financial architecture improvements transforms your business from a cash flow concern into a wealth creation machine. This is how you build a business that doesn't just pay you today but compounds your freedom forever. Chapter 8. The Delegation Paradox Keeping You Trapped. You're working 80-hour weeks. You're the bottleneck in every process. You know you should delegate more. But every time you try, it goes wrong. The work comes back incomplete or incorrect. You end up redoing it yourself. Or spending so much time explaining and correcting that it would have been faster to just do it yourself initially. So you stop delegating. You convince yourself you're just more efficient handling things personally. And you remain trapped in your business, unable to scale, unable to rest, unable to build something that runs without you. This is the delegation paradox. You can't grow without delegating. But you can't delegate successfully without investing time you feel you don't have. So you stay stuck, simultaneously exhausted and unable to escape your exhaustion. This pattern destroys more businesses than almost any other factor. Talented entrepreneurs work themselves into early graves or burnout because they never learn to delegate effectively. The psychology underlying delegation failure is complex. First, there's the competency trap. You're probably exceptional at the core functions of your business. You've spent years mastering your craft. Anyone you hire will be less skilled initially. Watching them struggle or make mistakes triggers frustration. You know you could do it better and faster. So you take it back. But this ensures they never develop competency. You're comparing their day 1 performance to your year 10 mastery. This comparison is unfair and counterproductive. Second, there's control addiction. Many entrepreneurs have deep needs for control. This often stems from childhood experiences of chaos or helplessness. Building a business finally provides control. Delegating threatens that control. What if they mess up? What if they make decisions you disagree with? What if they damage your reputation? These fears keep you micromanaging or refusing to delegate entirely. But control at this granular level prevents scaling. You've built a business you can control completely at the cost of building a business that can grow meaningfully. Third, there's identity attachment. For many founders, their business is their identity. Their self-worth comes from being needed, from being the hero solving every problem. Delegating successfully means you're not needed anymore. At a conscious level, you want this. At an unconscious level, it threatens your sense of importance and purpose. So you subtly sabotage delegation efforts. You take back responsibilities. You don't train thoroughly. You criticize too harshly. Your ego needs to be needed even though your logical mind knows this is limiting. Neuroscience shows that letting go of control activates the same brain regions as physical pain. Delegation literally hurts. Your amygdala perceives it as threat. This explains why delegation feels so uncomfortable even when you intellectually understand its necessity. You're fighting evolutionary programming that insists staying hands-on equals safety. Overcoming this requires not just strategy but consistent practice that gradually desensitizes your threat response. Wealth flows to the prepared mind. And the prepared mind recognizes that delegation isn't dumping tasks on others and hoping for the best. It's a systematic skill requiring training, communication, feedback systems, and psychological maturity. Master delegation and you unlock scalability, freedom, and sustainability. Fail at delegation and you remain the prisoner of your own success. Effective delegation follows a specific methodology. First, you must accept the 70% rule. If someone can do the task 70% as well as you, delegate it. Not 90%. Not 80%. 70% is sufficient. This violates perfectionist instincts but unlocks massive leverage. That 70% frees you for higher value activities only you can perform. Over time, with feedback, their 70% becomes 85%, then 95%. But they never get there if you insist on 95% immediately. Second, document before delegating. This is where most delegation fails. You verbally explain tasks, the person does their best, results disappoint you, you take it back. Instead, document the task completely before delegating. Create step-by-step instructions. Record video walkthroughs. Develop checklists. This upfront investment feels slow, but it ensures successful delegation and creates training materials usable for future hires. 1 hour documenting saves 20 hours of poor execution and redoing. Third, delegate outcomes, not activities. Tell people what success looks like, not exactly how to achieve it. When you dictate every step, you're micromanaging, not delegating. People can't think independently. They can't innovate. They become dependent on your instructions for everything. Instead, define the desired result clearly. Provide guidelines and constraints. Then trust them to figure out the path. This develops their problem-solving capabilities and removes you as a bottleneck. Fourth, implement feedback loops. Regular check-ins, not hovering. Weekly or bi-weekly reviews where you examine work together. Celebrate wins. Correct course gently. This builds competency systematically while catching small issues before they become disasters. The feedback loop is where delegation evolves from offloading tasks to developing capabilities. You're investing in their growth, which compounds your leverage. Fifth, accept early mistakes as investment. The first time someone handles a task, they'll probably mess up something. This is tuition you're paying for their education. Get angry about mistakes, and they'll become timid and dependent, constantly asking permission. Accept mistakes as learning opportunities, and they'll develop confidence and competency. The business may cost you a small amount in short-term efficiency, but you're buying long-term capability that multiplies your leverage indefinitely. Carlos built a software development agency. For years, he wrote every proposal personally. Each proposal took 6 hours. He could only handle 2 weekly, capping his sales capacity. He knew he should delegate proposal writing but feared quality would suffer. Finally, he documented his proposal process exhaustively. Every section, every question to ask clients, every pricing formula, every persuasion technique. Then he hired a proposal writer and trained her using his documentation. The first 3 proposals needed heavy editing. By the 10th proposal, she was at 80% of his quality. By the 20th, she'd innovated approaches he hadn't considered. She now writes 8 proposals weekly at 90% of his quality. Carlos gained 30 hours weekly. His sales capacity quadrupled. The one-time investment in documentation and training created permanent leverage. This pattern applies to everything: customer service, bookkeeping, marketing, operations. Whatever you're currently doing that someone else could do at 70% competency should be documented, trained, and delegated. This frees you for activities that genuinely require your unique expertise and leadership. Strategic planning, key relationship building, innovation, culture development. These activities create exponentially more value than handling routine operations personally. But delegation isn't just about tasks. It's about decision-making authority. Many entrepreneurs delegate tasks but retain all decision-making. This creates constant bottlenecks. Your team must ask permission for everything. You're still the constraint. True delegation includes decision-making authority within defined boundaries. Let people make decisions about their domains. Yes, they'll sometimes decide differently than you would. That's fine if results are acceptable. You're not trying to clone yourself. You're trying to build an organization that functions without requiring your input on every choice. This requires creating decision frameworks rather than making decisions yourself. For example, establish spending authority levels. Anyone can spend up to $200 without approval. Managers can spend up to $2,000. VPs up to $10,000. This allows operations to flow without constant approvals while maintaining fiscal responsibility. Apply similar frameworks to other decision types. hiring, marketing campaigns, customer accommodations, process changes. The framework defines boundaries. People decide within boundaries. This scales decision-making beyond your personal capacity. The emotional work of delegation is significant. You must confront your need for control, your perfectionism, your identity attachment to being needed. This psychological work is harder than the tactical work of documenting and training. But it's more important. Because until you emotionally release the need to control everything, your tactics will sabotage themselves. You'll unconsciously undermine delegation to maintain your position as the indispensable center. Awareness of these patterns is the first step. Actively working to release them through reflection, possibly therapy, and consistent practice is the solution. Starting today, identify 3 tasks you're currently doing that someone else could do at 70% competency. Choose tasks that consume significant time but don't require your unique expertise. Document one of these tasks this week completely. Hire or reassign someone to handle it. Train them using your documentation. Implement weekly feedback. Accept early imperfection as investment. Within 90 days, you'll have successfully delegated one significant responsibility. Repeat quarterly. Within 2 years, you'll have delegated dozens of tasks, freeing hundreds of hours annually for higher leverage activities. Your business will run increasingly without your constant involvement. You'll have built a business that pays you forever because it's not dependent on your daily labor. You'll have escaped the delegation paradox by doing the hard work of documentation, training, and psychological release. This is how founders evolve from operators to owners. Chapter 9: Building your exit before you start. Most entrepreneurs don't think about exiting their business until they're exhausted or forced out by circumstances. This is backwards. The exit strategy should inform every decision from day one. Not because you're planning to quit prematurely. Because businesses built with exit in mind create more value, more freedom, and more options than businesses built to operate indefinitely. This counterintuitive truth separates entrepreneurs who build wealth from those who build jobs. Here's the paradox. The best way to build a business you never have to exit is to build it like you'll exit tomorrow. Because exit-worthy businesses are simply businesses that run excellently without founder dependence. They have systems, teams, recurring revenue, and sustainable competitive advantages. They're valuable to potential buyers precisely because they're valuable to you as an owner. Exit readiness and business excellence are the same thing. The psychology of exit planning reveals interesting patterns. Many entrepreneurs resist thinking about exits. It feels like planning failure or admitting you're not fully committed. If you're already planning to leave, why start at all? But this confuses exit planning with exit timing. Planning how you'll eventually transition out doesn't mean doing it soon. It means designing a business that could transition successfully if needed or desired. This optionality is invaluable. Consider the alternatives. Businesses not built for exit typically have one of 3 outcomes. The founder works until burnout or death, then the business dies with them. The founder sells desperately when forced by exhaustion or health issues, receiving a terrible price because the business depends on them entirely. Or the founder muddles along indefinitely, generating okay income but never building true wealth because the business has no enterprise value beyond their personal labor. Businesses built for exit have different outcomes. The founder operates from a position of choice. They can sell for an excellent multiple whenever optimal timing arrives. They can hire a CEO and step into a board role, maintaining ownership while removing operational burden. They can transition to family members or key employees on favorable terms. They can hold indefinitely, collecting distributions from a profitable asset they don't personally operate. Every outcome flows from optionality. And optionality flows from building exit-worthy businesses regardless of actual exit intentions. Wealth flows to the prepared mind. And the prepared mind recognizes that business value and exit readiness are inseparable. So let's deconstruct what makes businesses sellable, even if you never sell. Because building these characteristics creates better businesses whether you exit or not. First, founder independence. Businesses that require the founder's daily involvement have minimal enterprise value. Buyers don't want to buy themselves a job. They want to buy cash-flowing assets. This means systematizing your expertise, developing a capable management team, and progressively removing yourself from operations. The less the business needs you, the more it's worth. This benefits you whether selling or keeping it. Either way, you've built an asset, not a job. Second, recurring revenue. Businesses with predictable, recurring income sell for much higher multiples than transactional businesses. Subscription models, retainers, contracts. These create valuation premiums because they provide buyer confidence in future cash flows. Even if you never sell, recurring revenue provides the same benefits to you. Predictability, compound growth, financial stability. Build recurring elements into your model from inception. This increases both saleable value and operational quality. Third, diversified customer concentration. If your top customer represents 30% of revenue, your business has concentration risk that destroys value. Lose that customer, lose 30% of revenue. Buyers heavily discount for this risk. Even as an owner, this concentration threatens your security. Systematically work toward no single customer representing more than 10 to 15% of revenue. This creates resilience and value simultaneously. Fourth, sustainable competitive advantages. Why would customers continue choosing your business under new ownership? What protections exist against competition? Strong brands, proprietary processes, exclusive relationships, network effects, switching costs. These moats protect your business whether you own it or someone else does. Build them intentionally, not accidentally. They increase sellability while increasing long-term profitability. Fifth, clean financials. Accurate books. Clear reporting. Separated personal and business expenses. Professional accounting. Many entrepreneurs run personal expenses through the business or keep inadequate records. This creates a nightmare during sale due diligence and tanks valuation. But clean financials benefit you today. They enable better decision-making. They reduce tax risks. They clarify actual profitability. Maintain institutional quality financials from the start. This serves you whether exiting or operating indefinitely. Sixth, documented systems. Everything should be documented so thoroughly that a reasonably intelligent person could run the business following your procedures. This documentation is critical for buyer due diligence. But it's equally critical for you training employees, maintaining quality, and scaling operations. Documentation enables replication. Replication enables scaling and selling. Seventh, growth trajectory. Businesses on upward revenue and profit trajectories sell at premium multiples. Stagnant or declining businesses, even if profitable, struggle to sell or sell cheap. Maintain growth momentum even if you're not exit-focused. Growth creates options. Stagnation eliminates them. Continuously innovate, expand, and improve. This keeps exit options open while driving operational excellence. Marcus built a specialized B2B services firm. From year one, he operated with eventual exit in mind. He systematically documented every process. He hired a strong general manager within 3 years and progressively stepped back from daily operations. He built recurring retainer contracts with enterprise clients. He maintained pristine financials through professional accounting. He diversified his client base so no single customer exceeded 12% of revenue. By year 7, his business ran smoothly without his involvement. He worked 10 hours weekly on strategic initiatives and board-level oversight. Then opportunity knocked. A private equity firm approached him about acquisition. Marcus hadn't planned to sell yet, but his business was exit-ready. Due diligence was smooth because his financials and operations were institutional quality. The firm offered 6.5x EBITDA, valuing his business at $9 million. Marcus negotiated to keep 20% equity and stay on the board. He received $7.2 million cash while retaining upside participation. He now consults 10 hours monthly, receives board distributions, and has time and capital for new ventures. His exit readiness created life-changing optionality even though exit wasn't his immediate plan. Compare this to founders who build without exit consideration. When they finally want out, the business is unsellable. Too founder-dependent. Messy financials. Customer concentration. No systems. They might generate good income, but they can't convert years of work into a liquidity event. They're trapped by their own success. They built income streams, not assets. This distinction is critical. Income streams pay you while you work. Assets pay you regardless. Income streams cease when you stop. Assets continue. Income streams can't be sold. Assets command multiples. Your goal should be building assets disguised as businesses, not jobs disguised as businesses. Exit readiness is simply asset worthiness. Even if you genuinely plan to never sell, building an exit-worthy business provides insurance against the unexpected. Health crises, family emergencies, partnership disputes, market disruptions, burnout. Life is unpredictable. Having an exit-worthy business means you have options when circumstances change. You're not trapped by necessity into continuing something that no longer serves you. This psychological freedom, even if never exercised, reduces stress and increases life satisfaction. Starting today, evaluate your business against exit readiness criteria. Could your business run successfully for 6 months without your involvement? Are financials institutional quality? Do you have recurring revenue components? Is customer concentration acceptable? Are systems documented? Is a management team in place? These questions reveal your current exit readiness. Then systematically address one gap quarterly. You're not necessarily planning to exit soon. You're building a better business that creates options. Options create freedom. Freedom is what you started this entrepreneurial journey to achieve. Build your exit before you start, and you'll build a business that pays you forever, whether you eventually exit or perpetually own an asset that serves you beautifully. Chapter 10: The Forever Mindset That Changes Everything. You've journeyed through 9 chapters of strategy, psychology, and practical systems. You understand revenue models, scalability, retention, delegation, and exit planning. You have frameworks and methodologies. But none of it matters without the final piece: the forever mindset. This isn't another tactic. It's the consciousness shift that makes everything else work. It's the difference between entrepreneurs who succeed temporarily and those who build enduring wealth. The forever mindset is simple to describe but challenging to embody. It means making every decision through the lens of perpetuity. Not, will this work this quarter? But, will this compound over decades? Not, how do I maximize immediate income? But, how do I build exponential value? Not what feels urgent, but what truly matters? This orientation toward long-term compounding over short-term extraction transforms your entire entrepreneurial experience. Most entrepreneurs operate with scarcity mindset disguised as hustle. They grab every opportunity. They say yes to every customer. They chase every trend. They optimize for immediate revenue. This feels productive. It generates activity and income. But it prevents the patient building that creates forever businesses. They're so busy responding to today that they never construct tomorrow. They're trees growing wide but not deep, vulnerable to the first strong wind. The forever mindset is the opposite. It's about saying no to attractive opportunities that don't align with long-term architecture. It's about investing resources in infrastructure that won't pay off for years. It's about boring consistency over exciting pivots. It's about building deep roots that enable weathering any storm. This requires extraordinary patience in an impatient world. It requires conviction when others question your slow approach. It requires trusting compound effects that aren't yet visible. The psychology of this mindset challenges our evolutionary wiring. Humans evolved for immediate threats and rewards. A rustling bush might contain a predator. A ripe fruit should be eaten now. Our ancestors who delayed gratification for abstract future benefits often didn't survive to pass on their genes. We're descendants of the impatient, the reactive, the present-focused. Building for perpetuity requires overriding deep biological programming. Neuroscience confirms this. Our prefrontal cortex handles long-term planning and delayed gratification. But it's constantly overruled by the limbic system seeking immediate rewards. When you choose to invest in systems over immediate sales, your limbic system screams that you're making a mistake. You could be making money now. Why are you wasting time on documentation? This internal conflict is exhausting. Most people eventually surrender to their limbic system's demands. They abandon long-term building for short-term results. This is why forever businesses are rare. Not because the strategies are complex, because the psychology is difficult. Wealth flows to the prepared mind. And the prepared mind prepares not just with knowledge but with consciousness. The forever mindset is a consciousness shift from extraction to compounding, from immediate to eventual, from me-focused to system-focused, from maximizing today to optimizing infinity. This shift feels subtle but changes everything. Let me illustrate through contrasting decisions. Short-term mindset takes every client regardless of fit because revenue. Forever mindset is selective about clients, only serving those who align with long-term vision and allow the business to grow properly. Short-term mindset underprices to win deals. Forever mindset prices for sustainable margins and attracts clients who value quality. Short-term mindset keeps the founder in delivery roles because they're excellent at it. Forever mindset removes the founder from delivery to focus on systems and strategy. Short-term mindset invests minimally in team and infrastructure, maximizing current take-home pay. Forever mindset invests heavily in people and systems, reducing current income to build appreciating assets. Short-term mindset pursues every market opportunity, creating complexity and distraction. Forever mindset focuses narrowly on becoming exceptional in a specific domain. Short-term mindset optimizes for looking successful now. Forever mindset optimizes for being successful forever. These aren't right or wrong absolutely. They're appropriate for different goals. If you need maximum income this year to fund a medical emergency, short-term decisions make sense. But if you're building a business to pay you forever, long-term orientation is non-negotiable. You're not building a sprint. You're building a marathon. You're not building fireworks. You're building a forest. The forever mindset embraces 4 core principles. First, compound thinking. Small, consistent actions compound into extraordinary results given sufficient time. A 1% improvement weekly compounds to 67% improvement annually. Not through dramatic breakthroughs. Through boring consistency. Forever businesses are built on daily disciplines that seem insignificant in isolation but compound magnificently over years. Second, systems over heroics. Heroic individual efforts create impressive short-term results. But they're unsustainable. Systems create modest short-term results but sustainable long-term performance. Forever businesses rely on systems that operate consistently regardless of individual performance variations. You're building reliability into the architecture, not depending on superhuman effort. Third, resilience over efficiency. Optimizing purely for efficiency creates fragility. When everything runs at maximum capacity with zero slack, any disruption causes failure. Forever businesses build redundancy and slack into their systems. This seems wasteful by efficiency metrics, but it creates resilience. The business can absorb shocks, weather downturns, and adapt to changes without collapsing. You're prioritizing survival over optimization. Fourth, evolution over perfection. Perfect solutions for today's problems become obsolete tomorrow. Forever businesses embrace continuous evolution. They expect to be wrong. They build feedback loops. They iterate constantly. They hold strategies loosely while holding values tightly. This creates organizations that remain relevant across decades by adapting to changing environments rather than becoming rigid monuments to past thinking. Patricia built a software company with forever mindset from inception. While competitors chased growth at any cost, she grew conservatively. She focused on product excellence and customer retention over vanishing metrics. She invested heavily in team development and company culture. She maintained 40% profit margins when others operated at break-even chasing scale. For 5 years, her company grew slower than competitors. She endured mockery from peers who were crushing it with rapid growth. Then market conditions shifted. Venture capital dried up. Growth at all costs companies imploded without funding. Patricia's profitable, sustainable business thrived. Her focus on retention meant she had predictable revenue. Her focus on culture meant she retained talent when others hemorrhaged employees. Her focus on margins meant she had capital to acquire distressed competitors. Within 2 years, she became the market leader. Not by being fastest, by being sustainable. Her forever mindset created enduring advantage while short-term thinking created fragility disguised as success. Implementing forever mindset requires constant vigilance. Your brain will continuously tempt you toward short-term thinking. The attractive client who's wrong for your business. The trend that could generate quick revenue but distract from your core. The cost-cutting that improves this quarter but erodes capability. These temptations are constant. Resisting them requires connecting daily decisions to long-term vision. Before any significant decision, ask, does this serve the forever business I'm building or just today's urgency? Create a personal decision filter based on your forever vision. What does your business look like in 20 years? What does your life look like? What role do you play? How does the business operate? Write this vision explicitly. Then, before major decisions, consult your vision. Does this decision move you toward that future or away from it? This simple filter prevents countless short-term seductions that would derail your long-term path. Surround yourself with long-term thinkers. Most entrepreneurs surround themselves with other hustlers celebrating this month's revenue. This creates peer pressure toward short-termism. Instead, find mentors and peers who've built enduring businesses. People who think in decades, not quarters. Their perspective recalibrates your thinking away from quarterly heroics toward generational building. Accept that forever mindset means years of delayed gratification. You're planting trees whose shade you'll enjoy in a decade. This requires deep faith in compound effects. Faith that isn't blind. It's based on mathematical reality. Compound effects are predictable. They just require patience most people lack. Your competitive advantage is simply being willing to do what others won't. Sacrifice today for tomorrow, consistently for years. But here's the beautiful secret. The forever approach doesn't actually require sacrificing today. It requires redirecting today's efforts toward tomorrow's amplification. You're still working. You're still serving customers. You're still generating revenue. You're just doing it in ways that compound rather than extract. Ways that build rather than consume. Ways that create assets rather than just income. This isn't deprivation. It's investment. An investment, given time, generates returns far exceeding consumption. The business that pays you forever isn't built in a day, a month, or a year. It's built through years of compounding decisions aligned with forever mindset. It's built through saying no to short-term temptations for long-term advantage. It's built through investing in systems while competitors invest in appearances. It's built through patience, discipline, and unwavering commitment to principles that create enduring value. You now have everything you need. The frameworks, the psychology, the strategies, the mindset. What remains is execution. Daily decisions aligned with forever principles. Consistent action in service of compound effects. Patience through the long valley where effort exceeds visible results. Faith in mathematics that guarantees compound effects reward long-term thinking. The business that pays you forever is built one patient decision at a time, day after day, year after year. Most people won't do this. They'll chase shortcuts that lead nowhere. They'll optimize quarters instead of decades. They'll extract instead of compound. This creates your opportunity. Because in a world of short-term thinkers, long-term thinking creates insurmountable advantage. Embrace the forever mindset. Make it your operating system. Let it guide every decision. And watch as years of patient compounding create a business that doesn't just pay you today but pays you forever. This is how you build true entrepreneurial freedom. This is how you finally claim the life you started this journey to create. The choice is yours. Choose forever.